Hey there, it's the Normie, and ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. I'm your host, the man with the driest sense of humor on the planet, even drier than Old Joe. Old Joe has requested another 33. Oh, that's my phone notification, excuse me. Has requested another $33 billion in aid. Biden's latest proposal, which the officials said was unexpected to last for 5 months, has more than 20 billion in military assistance for Ukraine and for bolstering defenses in nearby countries. We know what that means. There's also 8.5 billion in economic aid to help Ukraine funnel more dirty money for the Biden family. That's not what it says. 8.5 billion in economic aid to help Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky's government continue to function, and 3 billion for food and humanitarian programs to help civilians and other spending, said the officials, who briefed reporters on conditions of anonymity because they weren't authorized to speak publicly. Translation: they didn't exist to begin with. The proposal would more than double the initial $13.6 billion that was originally stolen by the American, hadn't been stolen yet, but was about to be stolen. Oh, that's not what it says at all. The proposal would more than double the initial 13.6 billion package of defense and economic aid for Ukraine and Western allies that Congress enacted last month. At least they did something. Biden last week warned that 6.5 billion earmarked for security assistance for Ukraine could soon be exhausted. I wonder how that's possible when they recently just borrowed trillions of dollars. Let's not worry about that. We're supposed to have already forgotten about that. Anyway, Congress would need to approve supplemental funding. More than half of the approved money for weapons and equipment for Ukraine's military has already been thrown away or not used at all. Weapons and equipment for Ukraine's military has already been drawn down. It seemed to signal a long-term U.S. commitment to start staving off, not starving off the Russians. This isn't the 80s. Staving off Russian President Vladimir Putin's attempts to expand his nation's control of its neighbor and perhaps beyond. Well, here's blue check Christopher Miller.
Wow, this is a biggie. White House sends Congress 33 billion request for Ukraine. The White House package is by far the largest single funding proposal of war and dwarfs the annual defense budget of most nations.
Wow, Christopher Miller, that's something that you should be proud of. Anyway, there's one thing that Democrats do extremely well, and what that is hurt the middle class, lower middle class, and poor while acting like they're not. Joe Biden here says that he's not worried about inflation, and Republicans just want to raise taxes on the middle class. Now, if you're talking about George Bush type Republicans, I'd probably have to agree with you. But populists, I don't really feel, are concerned with taxing the middle class all that often. Anyway, when you raise gas prices and you raise food prices and you raise interest rates and you force people to raise rents and normal living expenses skyrocket, liberals, that is called a tax on the poor. That's called you're hurting the poor. And a lot of liberals don't understand this because many of them are white middle class women with master's degrees who are making about $120,000 a year. So they don't really comprehend poverty in the same way some of us do. Anyway, let's hear it from the master of ceremonies, we'll just call him the master of ceremonies. Here's Joe Biden.
Indicated they have significant reserves of gas that they have planned for, as does, not as much, but as does Bulgaria. And we have worked with our allies from Japan on to say that we may divert our sale of the natural gas that we're sending to those countries and divert it directly to Poland and Bulgaria. So,
Holy shit.
That's as much I can tell you.
Hold on a second. We're getting to it.
How concerned are you about a
Here we go.
recession,
Here we
given
go.
The GDP report today showed a contraction of 1.4% in the fourth quarter.
Well, I'm not concerned about a recession. I mean, you're always concerned about recession, but the GDP, fell to 1.4%. But here's the deal: we're also have
This lady over here is
spending and business
she's
investment,
tripping me
residential
out.
investment increased at significant rates, both for leisure as
Could
well
you
as
imagine having to do the
product.
sign language for this
Number one.
guy?
Number two,
What a nightmare.
Unemployment is the lowest rate since 1970.
Holy crap.
Record
Can you believe that?
4.5 million businesses were created last year. We're in a situation where
I'm gonna need to see
we
those
have a very
numbers,
different
Joe.
view than Senator Scott, the Republicans, who want to raise taxes on the middle class families and want to include half the small business owners, and that so I think what you're seeing is enormous growth in the country that was affected by every.
Does okay? Do we live in the same country? I'm really confused because okay, here's the deal. So I was up at Walmart. Now I was thinking about picking up some night work just to supplement some income, and I hear these three managers talking. The guy's like, "I can't keep anybody in the door. I'm giving them $14 an hour, and they're just walking out of here." And then I'm looking around, and like the self-checkout line is backing up. They have no lines open. And there's one or two people, there's somebody in electronics, there's a couple people walking around the store, there's a couple people stocking, but that's really about it. And what these employers are doing, because the minimum wage was raised, is that they're hiring less people and making them do way more work. So I don't know where all this business growth that Joe Biden says is coming from, because I'm not seeing any of it, because I've been trying to pick up night work and I cannot get a freaking job anywhere. I even talked to the guy up at Pizza Hut last night. There were literally two people. I don't want to say literally like some fucking liberal, but there were literally two people working in there. Two. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. And the same thing for Dollar General. They've got two people working. One person running the register. They got one person stocking. Maybe it's one person running the register and then running around and stocking, because they are refusing to hire more than 2 or 3 people at a time because minimum wage was raised and it's hard as hell to get a fucking job. So I don't know where all this magical growth is coming from. Anyway, that's about all I've got to say. This has been the Normie. Have a good one.